Hello, guys. Did you know that long, long ago, in a land we now call England, there lived a queen so fierce, so brave, and so angry that she led an army that burned 3 big Roman cities to the ground? Her tale is about what happens when people are pushed too far, and it makes you wonder, even when you're fighting for what's right, can revenge ever truly make things better? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to hit the subscribe button, and let me know in the comments where you are tuning in from and what time is it. I always find it astonishing to find out where else people are hitting the Quill-Night series. Now lay back, relax, and let's ease up on tonight's story together. Imagine a time when the world was much wilder than it is today, full of green fields and dark forests. This was Britannia, the land of many different tribes. One of these tribes was the Iceni, and their queen was Boudica. She was tall, with fiery red hair and a voice that could inspire 1,000 warriors. She was tough and brave, even riding chariots into battle. Before the Romans, her life was probably peaceful, with her 2 daughters and her husband, King Prasutagus. The Iceni were a proud people, living off the land and tending their farms. But peace doesn't last forever when a mighty empire like Rome is on the march. The Romans, with their shiny armor and grand stone buildings, had conquered much of the world, and now they wanted Britannia. King Prasutagus, Boudica's husband, tried to make peace. He paid taxes and made a deal. When he died, his kingdom would be shared between his daughters and the Roman emperor. He thought this would protect his family and people, but the Romans didn't keep their promise. When King Prasutagus died, everything changed. The Roman rulers, caring more about power and gold, marched into the Iceni lands and took everything. They seized land, homes, and treasures. And then, something terrible happened. Roman soldiers publicly whipped Boudica, her 2 young daughters. Imagine the shock, the humiliation, the pain. Boudica, a queen and a mother, treated worse than a slave. Her heart burned with fire. Her people watched, helpless and horrified. This wasn't just about taxes anymore. "Enough," cried Boudica. Her voice roared like thunder. "They have broken every promise. They have shamed us and hurt our children. Will you stand by and watch them destroy everything?" The answer was a resounding no. The Iceni, enraged, rallied around their queen. News of the Roman cruelty spread, and other tribes joined her, especially the Trinovantes, who lived near the hated Roman city of Camulodunum, Colchester today. This city had been their capital, but the Romans turned it into a settlement for their old soldiers, while the Britons starved. Boudica's army grew. It wasn't organized like the Romans. It was a swirling, roaring mass of angry people of farmers, warriors, mothers, all driven by a thirst for justice. They armed themselves with spears, swords, axes, and even scythes. Their first target was Camulodunum. The Roman city, full of rich citizens, was not prepared. Boudica's army swept over it, overwhelming the defenses. They poured into the streets, their battle cries echoing, and then the burning began. They set fire to houses, shops, and temples. Black smoke billowed into the sky, thick enough to blot out the sun. The sounds of cracking wood, collapsing buildings, and screams filled the air. It was a terrifying sight. The Romans who couldn't escape were caught in the flames or cut down. It was justice. It was revenge for her pain, her daughter's pain, and her people's stolen freedom. But as the fires raged, do you think every person caught in that city was a cruel Roman soldier? What about the families, the children, the shopkeepers? They were also caught in the terrible fury. It was awful, chaotic destruction. Next, Boudica turned towards Londinium, now London, a busy Roman trading town. The Roman governor, General Suetonius Paulinus, was away fighting another tribe. He rushed back, but knew he couldn't defend Londinium. He had to choose: save his army, or try to save the city and risk losing everything. He chose his army. As the Roman army left, the people of Londinium watched in despair. Then, Boudica's army arrived. Again, the same terrible scene unfolded. Londinium was set ablaze. Buildings crumbled, streets turned into fiery rivers, and the air filled with smoke. The destruction was even worse than in Camulodunum. Finally, Boudica's warriors marched on Verulamium, St. Albans today. And once more, fire, destruction, and death. Boudica and her army had shocked the mighty Renang Empire. They had killed tens of thousands of Romans and their allies, laying waste to 3 of Rome's most important settlements. For a brief moment, it seemed the Britons might truly drive the Romans out. But this kind of anger, this fiery revenge, often comes with a huge price. General Suetonius Paulinus, who had retreated and gathered his forces, was a smart commander. He knew Boudica's army was huge, but less organized than his own. He chose his battlefield carefully, a narrow place with a forest behind his soldiers and open fields in front. This meant Boudica's huge army couldn't spread out. They would have to attack head-on. The day of the final battle arrived. It was a massive clash, with Boudica riding her chariot, shouting encouragement. The Britons charged, roaring, a wave of fury against the unmoving Roman lines. The air was thick with the clash of swords and cries. For a while, the battle raged. The Britons fought with incredible ferocity. But the Roman soldiers, with their superior training and tight formations, held firm. They were like a solid wall, slowly pushing back the Britons. The narrow battlefield worked against Boudica's numbers. As the battle turned, panic spread, and when they tried to retreat, their own wagons blocked their escape. It was a terrible, tragic defeat for Boudica. Her brave army was crushed. The Roman vengeance was swift and brutal. Thousands of Britons were killed, and the land was left devastated. Boudica herself, rather than be captured, chose to die. Some say she took poison. Her rebellion, though destructive, ultimately failed to drive the Romans out. Instead, it led to even harsher Roman rule. Now, let's think about Boudica. She was a hero to her people, a symbol of defiance against an invader. She was brave beyond measure, and her story is still told. No one can blame her for being angry, for wanting justice after the terrible things done to her and her daughters. What about the cities she burned? What about the innocent lives lost in those fires? Ordinary folks, caught in a war they didn't start. Was all that destruction truly worth it? Did it bring the freedom she wanted? Or did it just lead to more suffering for her people? Boudica's story leaves us with a powerful question. When injustice sparks a fire of revenge, how far is too far? And can you truly build a better world by burning down the old one, even if the old one was unfair? It's a question that makes us think about courage, anger, justice, and the very high price of war, even when you're fighting for what you believe in.